Report out today does show that 3 million Americans are the victims of violent crime over the course of just 1 year. This highlights a life-threatening void in criminal justice reform where those impacted by crime rarely get the help that they need.
In 2013, I lost my first cousin, James. He was shot and killed in San Francisco. In January of 2017, I lost a second brother. Shot and killed in the same neighborhood that we grew up in. You know, there wasn't a lot of empathy for what was going on with my family because of the circumstances around his death. We weren't really seen and treated as victims.
So the lack of support creates a vicious cycle of crime that disproportionately affects communities of color. That's where the Alliance for Safety and Justice comes in. They are now looking to shift the focus of criminal justice reform to break the cycle of violence. Aswad Thomas, one of the many voices of this movement, and he joins us this morning to share his story. Aswad, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
You know, this report released by the Alliance is just so timely, given all the conversations about criminal justice reform that have been happening, right? Especially this week with the verdict of Derek Chauvin. But the Alliance approaches reform from a bit of a different angle than what's been discussed. What makes this approach a very key component to reform?
It's a new approach and a much needed approach. The Alliance for Safety and Justice is a multi-state organization that aims to win new safety priorities in states by replacing incarceration with effective, public safety solutions rooted in prevention and community health. And we call this shared safety. We bring together everyday people, especially diverse crime survivors and people living with past convictions, as key stakeholders to advance policies that stop the cycles of crime and eliminate waste in the justice system to make our communities safer. This is critical. We're spending $300 billion on the justice system that doesn't keep us safe, and the needs of crime survivors are continue to go ignored.
You know, you currently serve as the National Director for the Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice arm of this organization. But I want to talk about you personally because you're a survivor. You were actually shot during a robbery. So take me back to what you experienced and how you were able to try to overcome that and how that helps you help others.
Yeah, and it's been a long journey. I can tell you all that. So after just becoming, the first male in my family to ever graduate from college, and just days before heading to Europe to play professional basketball, I became a victim of gun violence. I was shot twice in my back during an attempted armed robbery while leaving the store in my neighborhood. And those bullets ended my basketball career and almost ended my life. Wow. And like many Black victims of crimes, the justice system didn't help me. I wasn't treated as a victim, and my need for services were ignored. It wasn't until during my last surgery, I found out that one of the young men that shot me was also shot 4 years prior in my neighborhood. And like me, he was released from the hospital back into that same community without any support. His unaddressed trauma led me getting shot, and that's what inspired me to get involved with.
You wanted to break the cycle.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you look at this in reform, right, there's so many different arms of reform, and I think you're approaching it from such a unique perspective here. So as you go about your work, what's the common thread that you see among crime survivors? Who would you say is most commonly affected by crime, and then how can that be addressed?
Yeah, and too many crime survivors aren't getting the help that they need, especially crime survivors who are Black, brown, or live in low-income communities. This has devastating consequences on people's well-being, their ability to recover, really help, really help lead to chronic mental health issues.
Can I just interject for 1 second? Because I want to say, what you said right there, I want to make sure there's a lot of misperception about the Black-brown community seeing the crime, especially in inner cities, right? So there's a shift that needs to happen as well in perspective.
Yeah, in communities most impacted by crime, that are most impacted by violence, those are the same communities that are least supported by the justice system, are least supported by traditional victim services. And so that unaddressed trauma in our communities, that can wreak havoc on communities and can last for generations, as we continue to see today.
Yeah, I mean, I think you talk about the personal trauma, then you talk about the trauma of people watching this play out. Speaking of which, earlier this week, Ma'Khia Bryant shot and killed when police responded to a call that she made. We also saw a lot going on with the Chauvin trial. So help us understand that trauma and the impact that it has not only on individuals, but communities. And you've spoken a lot about the type of assistance that needs to be out there. So give us an indication of what you're trying to get.
Yeah, we're excited during National Crime Victims' Rights Week to be releasing today our National Crime Victims Agenda, which lays out a plan to address the needs of Black and Brown communities and people who are traumatized in communities. So this means that all survivors need to be recognized and need to be eligible for support. We know that the tragic truth is that violence in its symptoms can last for decades. And what happens in communities that you often go without the support and services that are needed. And that means counseling, therapy, that means, housing relocation, resource to help pay the funeral and burial costs for your loved ones. This victims agenda that released today works to do three things. One, to expand victims' rights. Two is to end discrimination. And number three is to provide urgent help right now, without all the red tape that comes involved with it.
And I think that's so important because people don't talk about the services that are absolutely needed immediately in communities. Aswad, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.